Good morning. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, DB2 for ZOS, Continuous Delivery, presented by Themis Inc. The slides are already available for download. If you go to the webinar link as shown on the screen, and I'd kind of like to introduce myself. I'm your presenter today. My name's Linda Claussen. And you can get a hold of me at lclaussen@themisinc.com. Today's session, we really want to look at version 12 continuous availability. If you have questions during the presentation, you can submit your questions in the questions section in your webinar panel, and as long as we have time, we'll get to those questions. Any questions that we don't get to, you can ask those questions directly of me or at themissupport@themisinc.com. Either one will work. Now you'll want to watch we have a course offering coming up on DB2 for ZOS transition, what administrators need to know. So it's an extension of this webinar to walk you through all of the administrative functions that have been added, both from system and database administration areas. Now that course offering is to be announced, so you'll kind of want to keep a close watch on what's coming up at Themis. Now, what we're going to cover today, the agenda, we're going to look at the steps involved in migrating version 11 to version 12 of DB2. We're also going to look at how to track what IBM calls their function levels. And also, we're going to take a look at how to activate those new functions as they're presented in the maintenance stream. And at the tail end, I'll give you a very short little pre-migration checklist, things you'll want to do well in advance of your migrating to DB212. Now, if we look at the traditional migration process, we had to do it in a two-step phase. We would come in and we would get our libraries implemented and of course upgrade there, and we would run the DSNTI JTC job, which updated the version 10 catalog to the partial version 11 catalog, and that brought us that initial migration to version 11 conversion mode, and we stayed there for an extended period of time, and in conversion mode we could fall back to version 10. Once we were confirmed, then we ran another DB2 catalog, catmate, that converted the DB2 catalog to full version 11. And after that completed, then we could go ahead and once we ran that, we were in enablement mode. And then run another batch job that finally enabled new function mode, turned on new function mode, and then we could use the new functions of DB2. Of course, and in conversion mode, none of the new functions were available. Version 12 has taken a different approach. IBM has answered the request to be able to get a better continuous delivery of functionality, to be able to offer us new functions without being as disruptive as the two-phase migration process that has historically been done across the last few releases. Now, in answer to that, version 12 introduces the single-phase migration that allows us, as we go forward, to add new functions in the normal maintenance stream. Okay? Now to support this, new enhancements that are delivered in the maintenance stream are called and delivered as function levels. Now, a function level may or may not require a cat main. And new function levels are identified by a 9-byte identifier that includes the version identifier, the release number, and the modification identifier. When you're ready to enable the new function, you do it in a simple DB2 command, activate the function, rather than running the batch job. So IBM has streamlined the ability to adopt new functions into an existing DB2 version. Now, the initial migration process from 11 to 12. Now, of course, just like historically, you need version 11 in new function mode with all your tolerance and fallback, your SPE applied. So what you have is you've got your version 11 catalog and your version 11 libraries. You're going to install your version 12 libraries. When you install your version 11 libraries, those libraries will be marked as version 12, release 1, modification 500. So our target libraries are at modification 500. When you run the cat mate, and there's only one cat mate, not two, it will place the catalog in version 12, release 1, modification 500. However, function level will be identified as version 1, modification 100. Very similar to compatibility mode, where no new version 12 functions are available, only your storage relief and your performance optimization enhancements are available. Okay, at this time, you can rebind your applications. Applications can run at Apple compatibility version 10, version 11, or version 12, release 1, modification 100. We have not activated the new functions. During this same period of time, your data sharing environments can coexist, and we only want to do that, maybe a week at the most. We want to recycle each data sharing member so it's pointing to the new libraries. So each data sharing member's library level and catalog level are at the appropriate level. But function level, functionality, is not been turned on yet. Once we are sure that we can run existing applications, just like conversion mode, under the new version 12 code base libraries, working with the new catalog, then and only then, when we want to actually activate the new functionality that is introduced in version 12, will we use the command activate function level version 12 release 1 modification 500, where you get the ability to use all of those functions. when you enter or activate function level modification 500, then you have the ability to bind or rebind your applications, and they can code base, they can run at version 10 level, version 11, version 12 modification 100, or now version 12 modification 500 to take advantage of the new added features in DB2 12. Okay. To go along with this, when you display your group, whether you're data sharing or not, it will show you the current levels. So IBM or DB2 is tracking what level you've activated, what level the catalog is in, okay? And what is the potential level, okay? So potentially, we could get to modification 500, but right now, we have not activated it. When you migrate, you automatically go to modification 100. All right. So if you look at your member, the DB2 level in the output display of your display group will show you that your member subsystem is at modification 100. Version 12, release 1, modification 100. It requires an activate command to actually be able to allow the new functions to be used. Okay, function level tracking. Now, in modification 100, when you migrate, you automatically get the virtual storage enhancements. More stuff goes above the bar, working closer with ZOS, and our optimization enhancements. To take advantage of the optimization enhancements, just like in conversion mode, you need to rebind those packages and preferably rebind them modification 100, but you can still use version 10 and version 11. Your non-stabilized dynamic SQL will take advantage of the optimization enhancements immediately unless they're existing in the statement cache. And as soon as they're thrown out of the cache and do the dynamic rebind, they will be back. Your stabilized, those queries you've bound, stabilized dynamic SQL after they're invalidated, freed, or if you change their application compatibility level. So, similar to conversion mode. To activate 500, the new functionality, you issue a command. So no batch job interfaces here. So you activate level 500. So now we are at function level 500. It's been successful. If you do your display at the release, the catalog level is at 500. The current function level is 500. Highest activated, highest availability. Okay? Highest possible level. Now, you get an idea of how IBM is tracking this. So it tracks your target library levels. It tracks the catalog level. And it tracks which level is actually activated in the system. When you do a display to review your levels, once you've activated modification 500, then you can see that this subsystem has been restarted under version 12, release 1, modification 500. Okay, so we are active in this single system. Your startup messages when you start that subsystem will also tell you what the code level is. It'll show you the current function level and the highest activated level during startup processing. Once you get to 500, all the new version 12 functions available in that modification level are available for use. Once you attempt an activate of 500, okay, you cannot fall back to version 11. However, if you want to, if you have a problem with the new functions, but you were working just fine under modification 100 where they couldn't use the new functions, you can always activate 100 again and then rebind under modification 100 anything that had attempted to rebind under modification 500. Okay? Or if you're using proper plan management, you can always switch to the previous bound package that was under modification 100. Kind of similar to new function mode, and then you need to go back to conversion mode. In fact, if you do a display going backward, reactivating 100, it'll show up as an asterisk. Hey, you've tried to go beyond that, and now you came back, just like we did with conversion mode asterisk. So, levels. Your target libraries. The level is tracked on that. PTF maintenance applies the code level, and your target library code level is tracked. The catalog level is tracked. This is your catmate level when you apply the catmate. The activated level, your function level, is tracked. Okay? Now, application packages in your DB2 for your precompile and coprocessor, replacing the new function parameter, we have an SQL level that we use there. Okay? So the SQL level will be applied in the DB2 module for your precompiler and coprocessor. The Apple Compat on your bind or rebind is tracked in the catalog when you do your rebind or your bind. Okay? And then we have some ZParm defaults for those binds that don't specify their Apple Compat. So you can set the application compatibility in the ZParm, and you can also set the default SQL level in the ZParms, in your startup parameters. Now please don't change Apple Compat compatibility in the ZParm until you are sure that the new level is stabilized, and you really want, by default, anybody that doesn't supply the Apple Compat on their bind, okay, you want everybody to use that new level if they don't specify it. Now, of course, the bind overrides the ZParm. Rebind, if you don't specify Apple Compat, remember, picks up whatever the Apple Compat was of the previous bind. So if you have an existing package at version 11, when you rebind and you want it to be able to use the new modification level, you must specify the Apple compat to override the old entry in sys packages when the original bind occurred. So we really need to start thinking about our binds. Whoops. Sorry, I had a question and I'm trying to see it. Yeah, there. What's the difference between stabilized and non-stabilized dynamic packages? Okay, dynamic SQL, you can actually do a query, bind your query, and get a stabilized package on your dynamic SQL. So I can take statements, critical statements, and actually do a stabilized access path on it. Does that answer your question appropriately? Non-stabilized is your normal statement cache. Yeah. But we do have the capability of stabilizing those by binding queries, those dynamic queries. Yeah. Okay. Now, activating a level, activate command. So I've activated 500. Okay. The messages that come out, our current code level is at 500, lowest level 100, highest level 500. Okay, and we're eligible for. Now, test. This is what it's doing. I'm currently at 100. And I want to test if I'm going to have problems with 500 activation. I don't remember where I'm at. Not that I would ever forget in the process of activations, yeah. But going forward, beyond 500, getting modification 501, modification 503, it would be a good idea to test before I activate a new modification level. So IBM gave us a test feature on the activate. Test to see if 500 will work. If everything, code, catalog, is all in sync or at a level that I can actually activate 500. Okay? And so when I do the test, it will show me, hey, yes, my code level is there. Okay? My catalog is there. Current code level is there. Highest activatable and highest function available is 500. So my subsystem is definitely ready for function level 500. I can activate it. And I do recommend you use the test before you go to any new modification. Now that really becomes apparent in data sharing, because you want to make sure all members of the group have recycled to get code level that you need. You can also, if you're at 500, okay, do I have another question out there I didn't get? Okay, no. You can fall back to modification 100. You activated 500. However, you're not happy with what's occurring, and you want to go back to 100. So you can activate level 100. Then you're basically bad at function level 100. So those applications that attempted to do new functions will need to rebind back to modification 100. And then you're running with no new version 12 functions available. You're back to just the code base, kind of like going back to conversion mode asterisk. Okay. So we should be able to, hopefully we won't have to do that. But if there is some new functions they attempt, you're finding problems with it, you can go back to code level 100, make sure they can't use them. Okay? And as long as your ZPARM, if they do an auto rebind, they'll be, just like anything else, and they should rebind back to 100 or version 11 or version 10, whatever you want them to do for their code base. All right. If you do the, when you do the activate back to 100 level, modification level, you will see the current function level is 100 asterisk. That we actually did successfully go back to modification 100. However, my catalog's at 5. Highest and highest possible, highest activated was 500, highest possible is 500. So that'll be the response of going back to 100. Then we get to data sharing. When you display your group in a data sharing environment, it will tell you what the current functional level is. We're at version 12, modification 100. That's our code base. Okay? The catalog is at modification 500. Activated level is 100. Okay? Highest possible function level is, modification level is 500. But when you display your group, you want to look at the level that member is at. Now, the DB2 code level that this member has been started under is 500. This one had been started at 500 and now has been quiesced. Member 3 is still using version 11. I haven't recycled it yet. And this one was stopped in version 11. Now, if I start this member, it'll come up under code level 12. I need to get 3 stopped and restarted under 12. Do not attempt to go to 500 until all your members are eligible for version 12 modification 500. Okay? We must stay at the function level 100, not attempt to go to 500. We must stay at 100 until each one of the members of our data sharing group have been recycled. If inactive members that have never been started with the fallback SPE applied cannot start in DB2 12 or 11 after you've activated modification 500. Okay? So you make darn sure you stay at 100 until all of these have been recycled. Okay. Now, you might ask me, how does DB2 track all of this? Ta-da! We have a new catalog tables. We have a new catalog table called System Level Updates. Okay? In the System Level Update, okay, we have the function level. We have the previous function level. And this is processed when you do your activates. You have the highest activated function level. You have the catalog level. So this is created in the CapMate. And we also have the type of operation. Did CapMate put this row? So we get the catalog, or did we do it via an activate? Or was the operation your in-stream maintenance that applied the PTF to set the code level in your library's code level to the modification? And you'll have the time, and it writes, of course, it writes out into the log, the Larson, or RBA if you're non-data sharing. Okay. Okay. And the group member. It's kept by group member. So we have a new catalog table for the actions. And so we can do an activate or a CapMate, or when we apply maintenance. When we apply maintenance, the potential of the code base is in a PTF that you've applied. Okay. There are also, if you want to find that information out, there's new global variables that tracks the levels. So we can select those global variables. What is the default SQL level? I need to know. What is the default catalog level? And you can also say, okay, what is the product, extended product ID? So we have the DB2 12.1.500. So we know that the code level, product code level, is at that level. So we can get that information by looking at our variables. Now, I'm in version 12, release 1, modification 500. In the maintenance stream, new functions have been introduced. Okay? Right now, everybody is running in one of these Apple compatibility levels. And IBM in the maintenance stream has applied an enhancement, very similar to version 11 when they put a new feature or function feature in version 11, you know, in the maintenance stream. Those enhancements can be applied in the normal maintenance stream, and then there will be a PTF, which sets the code level in the libraries. So when you apply that PTF for the new code level, the library is then, the code level is then set to the new modification level. So I'm going to go to modification XX when I apply that PTF. And you can ask for notifications for that. So when you apply that PTF, now I'm at XX. Data sharing, we're in coexistence. okay, on the code level. This set of new functions and features does not require a catalog maintenance. All right? So my catalog is still at 500. But the libraries are at modification XX. Now I want to recycle my members, so we're all at code level XX. And when I'm ready to implement those new features, I can activate modification 500. Please do test first. Modification 5XX is a modification level that accepts modification 500 library code base 5XX. So once I activate modification XX, they can bind or rebind 5XX to take advantage of that new function that was introduced in the maintenance stream. So the new function is now available. Some functions might require a catalog maintenance. So we're receiving maintenance. We get notified that this PTF will update the code base for the new function YY, modification 503. PTF4 function level, modification level 03. I just called it YY. Now it does require catalog maintenance. Now if I display my group, my code level will be at YY, and before cat mate, my catalog level will still be at XX. Oh, no, 500. Now I do the cat mate and get the catalog to YY. But I haven't activated YY, so they can't use it yet. So I'm going to sit here, and again, I want all members at the code base YY first. Then do my cat mate. Online reorgs. Right? Make sure the new function code works fine. Do an activate test for YY. Make sure everything is there. Code base, catalog that is required for that function level. And if everything looks good, then I can activate YY. If I need to, I can always go back to XX. Okay? So, catalog is now at the level. Code base is at the level. All members should have been recycled with the new library. Everything's in place. That's what the test told me. And I did my display group. So now I can activate YY and actually get those new functions. And going forward, 500, 501, 503, 507, 508, just by maintenance stream processing. Now please, this does mean that we're going to have to take a look and review our standards and procedures we have for plan management and our binds. One bind fits all doesn't necessarily work. Remember, when you have a package out there, in sys packages, it keeps the Apple compatibility option that you chose. We also have a new column in sys packages, which has the function level. All right? That's the current function level when the package was bound. Now, Apple Compat will also show the function level that it was bound into. When you rebind a package, whatever Apple Compat is what it will stay. So we know the bind option chosen at what function level it was bound. In syscopy, it will keep the previous and original package function level when it was bound and the Apple Compat. And if you use stabilized dynamic SQL, dynamic packages, in sysquery, it'll have the function level of when the row was inserted. When you bound the query. So rebinds, you need to tell it if you want to take care of a hold. And it also, you have the ability to say, okay, this package, this is sys package, the current one being used. It's running at function level. It was bound with Apple Compat 500. And when was it? It was bound when you were at activated function level 500. Down here, I can see that the previous function level activated was modification 500 when it was bound, rebound, and Apple Compat option chosen was 100. The original was when we were at function level 100, and it was bound at version 11 release 1 Apple Compat. So it runs as a version 11 compatibility, even though the function level that was activated at the time was 100. This one was bound. We did a rebind of that package. Okay. Plan management extended. So I keep the original. Here's my previous. And now here's my current. If I run into a problem here, I can switch to the previous and go back to the 100 without having to do, rebind switch previous and go back to Apple compatibility 100. So you'll be able to see the differences, what level it was when you bound it and what the Apple compatibility, whether we're taking advantage of those new functions or not. Okay. So one of the things you're going to have to do is make sure you rethink your bind and rebind processing and that you get your plan management in place and understand the levels that we're going through. So as far as I'm concerned, plan ahead for continuous. Get familiar with the levels. Review your standards and procedures. And make sure you do go out there and look at the changes that may affect your migration. There's a lot of prereqs and coreqs. I missed one. We missed one. I missed one. It was a ZOS one. That's all right. It had to do with hardware compression. fix in ZOS that actually stopped me from getting DB2. You know, one of those little things on one of our boxes. You want to resolve any application incompatibilities before setting your Apple Compat to the new function level. Okay? And use the test option when you want to activate a new level. Okay? There is a good red book out there I recommend, the DB212 for ZOS Technical Overview. It's a good source to read up on DB212, laid out well. There are a few typos, but we all have that problem. And, you know, the documentation is available out there for version 12. Okay. So that's basically just a teaser on getting you started. I want to thank everybody. You can get to the webinar. It will be posted online, a replay, at Themis Inc. webinar link. You can get a hold of me for questions, or you can go to the support. Please visit our webpage. Follow us on Twitter. We do send out notices for new webpage webinars coming up. Themis, come on, we specialize in getting the professionals up to speed. So we have a full application development curricula, database administration, and system administration. Visit our website. We are coming out with a new website soon, so that'll be interesting. Again, follow us on Twitter. The webinars, all the listed webinars available are under the webinar link, and you can also look at other information. And as far as DB2 is concerned, for developers, we have a full line of course material. For a database administrator, we even have a DBA boot camp or systems administrators, and we have a new systems administrator boot camp coming up too. So that's about it for today. And I really do want to thank you for attending, and I hope the information we've presented here is helpful in your migration and understanding of what's coming in the future.